and welcome to the Nashua Board of Education meeting. It is Monday, May 8th, 6:03. I'm calling this meeting to order. Ms. Lamphere, can you do the roll call? No, roll call.
Ms. Darling is not here. Ms. Raymond?
Here.
No, here. Mr. Claffey?
Here.
Ms. Brown?
Here.
Ms. Oden?
Here.
I'm here. Ms. Johnson?
Present.
Ms. Bishop?
Here.
Ms. Giglio?
Here.
Okay, and we also have Dr. Andre, Dr. Sarfty, Mr. Posca, and Mr. Donovan. And we have our two student reps, Warren
Here.
and Dante.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Once you're done the prayer, Ms. Raymond, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay.
Almighty God, we have the high honor and the serious duty of managing the educational institutions of our beloved city. In our common endeavors, may we find a spirit of unity and understanding which will enable us to face our multiple problems with an objective mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will be for the betterment and greater happiness of all of our fellow citizens. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so we have no presentations tonight, correct? Okay, so I'd be looking for a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor of adopting the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
So that's Ms. Brown and Ms. Johnson. Motion passes. This brings us up, this is a speedy meeting. This brings us up to our first public question and comment period for items on the agenda. Do we have anybody who signed up for first public comment?
Yes.
Sorry, we were out of the white sheets, so I used a blue sheet.
We are adaptable, which is fantastic. Okay, so William Barry, I just want to check, is Mount Pleasant on the agenda? The redistrict, okay. Okay, thank you. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. My name is William Barry. I live at 46 Raymond Street, Nashua, New Hampshire. I practice law in the city of Nashua. I'm a Nashua native, as is both my parents, all 4 of my grandparents. My grandmother and great aunt taught at Mount Pleasant. My mother and uncles and aunts went to Mount Pleasant. My 2 children went to Mount Pleasant. I think it would be a terrible idea for you to close that school for what it offers to the neighborhood and the people in that neighborhood. You know, when my mother went there, when the population was filled with Remolards and Barrys and Collinses. Now it's filled with Rodriguez's and Barreras and Castillos. This is a neighborhood that depends upon that school for the underprivileged. When my kids went there, I went, because I had my own business, I had the flexibility to go on school trips. First time I went, we went to the museum of the aquarium. Couldn't go to the concession stand, couldn't go to the gift shop. I asked why. Because no one can go. All brought our bag lunches. What my kids learned in that school was lifelong lessons. They saw what education got you, and their friends from the Whitney Streets and the Lock Streets came up, and they saw it from a different perspective. This is a resource for the city of Nashua and for the underprivileged. It is completely unfair if that school closes. From a legal point of view, I believe that there are a number of Title I students at that school. If you break that school up, you're going to send them to Charlotte Ave, and Dr. Crisp. Dr. Crisp, I'm sure, has Title I students, but I do not believe that Charlotte Ave does. So how are we going to get a school that takes 2 years to get Title I approval if you're closing the school down in a year from now? That would be a challenge that a Title I student would have if they were assigned to Charlotte Ave. The school was upgraded over the course of the years. When my kids went there, they had no air conditioning. There was limited infrastructure. They now have air conditioning. The school is adequate. It's not great. It's not great, but for what I've seen it cost, was it $21 million to redo it? That is certainly an investment in our community for the underprivileged that don't have the ability to go anywhere else. It's a walking school. I drive by there every day on my way to work. I live on Raymond Street, drive down Concord Street, and there's a guard at Concord Street and Orange Street. I come home and see kids walking home. What do you think's going to happen when a child misses the bus and they live on Whitney Street, Locke Street, Jefferson Street? They're not going to school because they can't get there. They can walk, and people look out for each other there. So the educational opportunities for a child that has to be put on a bus and sent to Dr. Crisp or sent to Charlotte Ave will be markedly impacted. We went many times to the after-school programs at Mount Pleasant, to the meetups, to the PTO meetings, to the events. How do you think the majority of the people in that neighborhood got there? They walked, because they don't have cars. The parents take the city buses. The kids would be brought up by an adult, and oftentimes an older sibling. That would be lost if those children had to go to Charlotte Ave or Dr. Crisp. I know it's early in the game, and we're all learning things, but I stress, please consider the impact on those most harmed in our community. $21 million, you could bond that over 20 years. It's worth it to have that. From a selfish point of view, I own real estate on Raymond Street. If you don't have a local school, that affects the real estate. That affects the community. That affects my economic well-being. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here to honor my grandmother and my mother and my children and the kids that became lifelong friends. I urge you to consider your decision very carefully, and it can't always be about money. Money's important, but you got to see what the resource is for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other, nobody else has signed up, but I saw you walk in. Or did you want to speak at first public comment? No?
Sure.
It's on, is it on something on the agenda?
No, I'm just looking at about, because I'm actually, my daughter's in the violin concert and I had some extra time.
Oh, okay. You don't have to come up and talk, but I just, we got going pretty quickly. Okay, I'll hand the floor over to Dr. Andrade.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Before I comment tonight on the redistricting efforts and the cyber attack, I want to take this opportunity to reiterate a message I sent to our staff last Friday. I want to extend a huge thank you to each member of our staff for the remarkable work week at school. Undeterred by the cyber attack, our staff stepped up, pivoted, and continued with work, adjusting as needed. I am continually impressed and proud of how they kept up the task at hand during the week like none other. Once again, many thanks to our staff's high level of professionalism and their ability to keep the art and business of teaching and learning moving forward with minimum interruption. And fittingly, Teacher Appreciation Week is being celebrated now in many schools in many schools, and National School Nurse Day is this Wednesday. Cheers especially to our teachers, all our school nurses, and I'm going to include all the staff in this year's and I'm going to include all the staff in this year in that message. It's great working with you. I'm very grateful for all your added efforts and support this week. Again, thank you. Redistricting. I want to thank the members of the redistricting committees who have reviewed many scenarios and how to best reset the school boundaries. We're inviting members of our school communities to attend next week one of the 3 community forums on redistricting. Our first one will be on Monday, May 15th from 4 to 5:30 at Nashua North in the Media Center. We'll have one on Wednesday, May 17th from 6 to 7:30 at Fairgrounds Middle School in the cafeteria. And Thursday, May 18th from 4 to 5:30 at Nashua High School South in the Media Center. We have the scenarios to review and revise as needed, which will be viewed. We have the scenarios to review and revise as needed, which can be viewed on the homepage at nashua.edu. We have also posted feedback forms once you have reviewed the scenarios. We welcome your input, and we look forward to ongoing discussions of the pros and cons of the scenarios. As you know, redistricting is being looked at as part of the middle school renovation and construction project. Our focus shifted to the elementary schools to address the boundary lines with the drop of enrollment over the last 10 years. Cyber attack. As you know, the district was a victim of the cyber attack last weekend. The crime is still being investigated, and great strides have been made in restoring the functionality of our network environment. The progress has been really impressive, and I have to thank our IT department. We're hoping in the next 24 or 48 hours to give you more information, and a communication will be sent at that time. Thank you.
Thank you. Board response to superintendent comments. I'll go this way. I'll start with Ms. Gilio this time.
I have no comment, thank you.
Okay.
No
Okay, Ms.
comments.
Johnson?
No comments.
Ms. Oden?
Yeah, I would just like to thank our technology department. I know they have put in some very long days trying to get everything up again, and I want to commend them and thank them for all their efforts. Thank you.
Ms. Brown?
I'd like to also thank our technology department and our director of IT. I know he's been really working his tail off. And also I want to thank Dr. Andrade for keeping us on the board in the loop and the community as well. I think everyone would really appreciate that. I know it's kind of a stressful time for everyone, but I feel like we've been as transparent as we can be. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Lampier?
Oh, no comment now, thanks.
Okay. Mr. Claffey? Ms. Raymond?
I just want to thank you for the update, Dr. Andrade, on both of those issues that are near and dear to everyone. I think everybody in the community is concerned, and it's nice to know that people are on top of things. I also just wanted to say on the topic of Teacher Appreciation Week, this is the week of the year that we also do our renominations, and I was taking a look at our list of all of the people who are coming back next year. And there are some teachers that have been with the district since 1982. And not to put Ms. Coffey on the spot, but Ms. Coffey started working for us before I was born, which was before 1982. So I cannot express my appreciation for all of the people who have joined us post-COVID. I mean, that's an amazing time to decide to get into teaching, but also the people who have really dedicated their lives to the students and the children of our community. So huge thank you for that. So I can't imagine all of the changes that they have seen.
Right. Right, even just the return to kind of a paper process for some of them is probably a time warp. I ditto what everyone else is saying, so happy Teacher Appreciation Week, and the tech stuff has been fantastic to watch unfold and get better. So on to student members. Which one of you is going? Can I guess it's Dante this time, right? Okay. Go ahead, Dante.
All right. Good evening. I just want to start off by thanking everyone who is currently working to resolve the digital attack against our school district. Also want to commend teachers throughout the district for so quickly adapting, especially those who typically rely on desktops and presentations for teaching, and obviously Aspen for grading, every teacher. Then also this past weekend, The Little Mermaid was performed at South, and I have heard great things about it, I've heard it was a great success, a great show. So congratulations to all those who were involved. Reminder that next Monday is the Driver's Ed Lottery at South. That's May 15th at 3:30 at South in the lecture hall. Then obviously the end of the year is coming up very quick with senior finals happening on June 5th and 6th and underclassmen finals on June 16th and June 20th. Seniors, be sure to check your Google Classrooms to get updates and information on all the fun senior activities and events coming up. For athletics, there are lots of events this week, but there's some Battle of the Bridge games happening as well. Tomorrow, Tuesday, it's girls tennis at South at 4, and softball is going to be playing at 7 at Revere University. So make sure to go if you can and wear purple. Lastly, a survey on the current summative assessment recovery policy was sent out some time ago, and responses are no longer being collected, but they are being looked at, and we're definitely going to be working on this in the future, just having the conversation over recovery policies for summatives. And I hope to start having meetings in e-blocks starting soon for students to come and ask questions similar to what Warren has tried as well. So thank you.
Go ahead, Warren.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I think this cyber attack has been extremely inconvenient for students and staff alike, and I just wanted to say, and I think inconvenient. Oh. And I
I heard convenient.
And I think I'm speaking for the entire student body when I say this. I'm overall extremely impressed with the teachers at Nashua North and I'm sure Nashua South, along with the administrators, on how they're able to adapt their lesson plans, create creative solutions to complex problems, and just their overall reaction to this all. As a student, I want to say thank you to all staff. We see how hard you're all working, and we truly appreciate all that you're doing for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along. No budget, no finance, no policy, no curriculum. This is just our off week. So Committee on Human Resources, I will hand that over to, which one of you chaired it tonight? Ms. Giglio, I will hand it over to you.
We met earlier this evening and approved a couple of...
Microphone.
You need your mic, and don't forget to suspend the rules.
Well, that's coming next, okay? We met earlier this evening and voted on a couple of issues, and so right now I need a recommendation to suspend the rules to consider those items that were from the meeting held earlier.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor of suspending the rules, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, so earlier this evening, we approved the personnel recommendations of May 8th, 2023. We also improved the recommendations to approve the administrator's recommendation for the Director of Special Education, which is Dan Alexander, who will be beginning that role on the 2023 to 2024 school year at an annual salary of $112,398. So we approved that as well tonight. There is another item that we're going to have to approve now that was not approved earlier, and I think, do we need to suspend the rules again for that?
You're looking at me, yes, I would say so, but first we need two motions. We need the motion to approve the personnel recommendations, and then we need a motion for Mr. Alexander's position.
Okay, so first, we're looking for a motion to approve the personnel recommendations.
So moved.
Okay, second?
Thank you, Ms. Oden. Thank you, Ms. Raymond. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
So we're looking for a vote to approve the recommendation for Daniel Alexander to assume the role of the Director of Special Education.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving administrative recommendations for Dan Alexander to become the Director of Special Education, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion passes.
Now, we have another item that we were not able to bring up earlier that we need to bring to the full board tonight, so I guess we need to suspend the rules again.
I think so. So our policy says that if it hasn't been vetted through a committee for something like this, that we just need to make a motion to allow us to consider the,
To bring it out of the committee and bring it to the full board?
yes, to move the 2023-24, I'll just make the motion, to move the 2023-24 Nashua School District teacher renominations from the HR committee directly to the full board.
Okay.
Second.
And just because we were missing, when we got the printout this weekend, it was missing a school. And so we can't approve it without having all
of the information.
schools, because we want all of these teachers to come back.
Yes. What a, I'm just amazed at how much work like Tara and the crew used to put in putting all these together. It must be saving them an exponential amount of time being able to just put it in a Dropbox. Yeah? Yeah.
No, it's actually quite opposite right now. It's taken a long time.
Well, no, I mean,
Oh,
not
yeah.
how it used to be, not
Yes.
when things are up and running correctly.
No, when things are up and running, it's a little smoother than taking
Yeah.
15 minutes to make a copy. So,
Right,
yeah.
right. Okay, so Ms. Raymond made the motion to bring it out of committee. Ms. Gilio seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Wait, so I have
Aye.
a question.
Yes.
Sorry.
I have a question about the nominations.
Okay.
I just want to ask Mr. Donovan, if the Board of Aldermen does not approve our budget, do we have enough money to pay for all the staff that we're renominating?
Well, the Board of Aldermen has to approve the budget for us to have any money.
Because there was a time that I remember that we would pink slip because we didn't have a budget, and then we would bring them back, some of them. Am I correct?
That hasn't happened. There may have been a few since I've been here, about 13 years now, that's only happened a couple times. It hasn't happened in the last 7 or 8 years at all.
Because I know I think that was a state law or something, that if we didn't have the funds to pay now, that we had to put out X amount of pink slips. That's what I'm just asking, if,
Yeah, I think that's a practice we no longer
Okay.
use.
So what happens if the Board of Aldermen does not approve our full budget and they did a bottom line reduction? Would we still have enough money to pay everybody that we're nominating at this point in time? What would be the outcome?
We'd have to make some cuts somewhere.
Okay, because we're rehiring them now and we're not doing any like layoffs
Right.
in case we didn't have the money.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that. Any other comments or questions?
So wait, so this motion is just to bring it for us to discuss it here, yes?
Right.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so all those in favor of pulling it out of committee and bringing it to the board, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Now we bring it to the full board. Looking for a motion to approve the 2023-24 school district teacher renominations as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Gilio.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Raymond. Comments or questions?
I just wanted to thank Dr. Andrade and his staff for noticing that a school was missing when all this was collated, because it would have been terrible to rehire everyone but one school.
Right.
That would not have been a fun thing to fix. So thank you for taking the time this evening to run and get us all of that information so that we can have it.
I'm sure we would have had an emergency meeting very, very soon if it wasn't caught.
But I like to be proactive and not have to go back and fix things. So
I agree. Or come back for more meetings. That could have been an email. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so all those in favor of approving the 2023 Nashua School District teacher renominations, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. I give the floor back to Dr. Andrade for the unfinished business.
Just for the last unfinished business, full credit goes to Tara Kinsella, and I think that's just a testament to her professionalism. So she's always dotting her I's and crossing her T's, so really the shout out goes to Tara, so thank you,
Yes.
Tara. Really unfinished business, I mentioned in the superintendent's remarks, we just wanted a quick update on the redistricting, just in case there was comments tonight, so we wanted to make sure it was on the agenda. But really, there's 3 public forums next week, Monday the 15th at Nashua North, from 4 to 5:30, the 17th at Fairgrounds Middle School in the cafeteria from 6 to 7:30, and then again from 4 to 5:30 at Nashua South in the Media Center. And as I stated earlier, the schematics are on our website, and there's also Google Docs that if someone has any comments, pros, cons, or any other comments, that they can input their feedback right on our website, and that's live right now.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Any comments or questions in regards to redistricting? Heather? Mr. Raymond?
Thank you. What can the public expect from these forums next week? I mean, is it like a Q&A session? Is it, you just go up and see the scenarios on the big board? Like, how is that going to work?
Yeah, essentially, it's they'll see the scenarios and really provide, as we did, sticky notes of what works, what doesn't work, what are we missing, and then if they have any kind of questions from there. But it's really, we don't have a canned script of what we're going. It's really, they'll see that, and we're just really looking for their input around those kind of questions. And again, it's in regards to the middle school lines, doing air quotes for the high school lines, the high school's not moving the boundary, and then the 2 scenarios at the elementary level.
And then will we, as the board, will we get something back from those so that we can review what the public has wanted us to know about?
Yep, so we're hoping, on Thursday, Friday will be really busy, so getting that all into your packet, so then we'll be ready for the meeting on the 22nd.
Okay, wow.
Quickly. Okay, any other comments or questions about redistricting? No, okay. Thank you for putting that on the agenda so we could have people speak to it. I appreciate that. We are now, if we don't have any objections, let's push second public comment up, because new business is going to be non-public. And then do we want to do second public comment, board members' comments, and then go into non-public? Does that sound okay to everybody? I am not seeing angry eyes, so. Okay, so we'll do second public comment first. Only person signed up is Gary Hoffman.
Gary Hoffman, 38 Perham Street, Nashua, New Hampshire, Unit D. I'm a teacher at Fairgrounds Middle School. It's been a crazy week. We don't have, the hack has really taken down a lot of our infrastructure for our district that we really rely upon. We're making a lot of big decisions right now between redistricting. The question, if we're going to be closing Mount Pleasant, whether that's a good idea, especially given what Mr. Barry said about the Title I funds. We got questions about SAS testing. We can't even easily put up agendas right now on the district website. I know the Curriculum and Evaluation Committee and the Policy Committee are going to be meeting next week. And I just asked those 2 committees to be a bit circumspect and really carefully look at any major policy changes that might be submitted for next week. You got to realize, there's no meeting notes right now that are probably available for committees. There's not a lot. The agendas might not be available. There's a lot of stuff that's not around, and then there's all these other things that people are really grappling with. And I've been up here for years talking about the importance of honors classes at the middle school level, and I know that that's being considered, and I really hope, I haven't seen a policy yet, but I really hope that next week that a policy isn't submitted on that issue, that we really take our time with it.
Yeah, I'm just going to interrupt you, Gary. We're actually not going to do committee meetings next week because we are behind and wanted to give administration and central office space to get the real work done.
All right, well, that's good news. All right, well, thank you very much.
Welcome. Okay, thank you. That brings us back to board member comments. We started off with Ms. Giglio last time, so I won't put her right in the hot seat, and Christina's not here tonight. So Heather, are you okay starting off with board member comments if you have any?
Sure. I just actually had wanted to touch on committee meetings. So policy committee, the New Hampshire School Boards Association, which is where we get our policies that have been vetted through attorneys already, they were hacked in March, and their data is still gone. So last month, policy had like a work session to look at policies about policy and some other stuff. This month, with our technical difficulties, Mr. Posca and I met today, and we decided to push our meeting until June. But we do have, I don't know, like a dozen policies that will be ready to go in June, and then another probably dozen or so that we're looking at for the summer. So we do have work. We are working. Mr. Posca is doing a lot of behind-the-scenes work with steering committees and with the principals at all levels. So we will have stuff for you guys, just not in May. So apologies.
That's fine. I think that was the best decision for the district anyway right now. Mr. Claffey? Ms. Lampier?
Hi, I just wanted to, it was the last school board meeting when K-Pod presented their ideas, and I'm just really glad to hear that the district is not going to move ahead with working with them. I don't feel that we should encourage that kind of segregated and really anti-public school set up in our city. And whether or not they come, I think they might still be coming because they're still getting the money from the state Department of Education. I'm just glad to see we're not going to encourage them. Thank you.
I typically go last, but I wanted to address what Ms. Freeman said and what you said, Ms. Lampier. If you have policies that don't really, like, we're just updating format, we don't necessarily have to bring them for discussion. We can put them on the consent agenda, and then everybody gets them in their packets if it's just like a formula update. Obviously, if you're changing wording and we want to discuss it, we can pull it out of the consent agenda, but if we're just changing format, it can go right in there. We review it, but it's just an easier way of speeding things up if we are going to be looking at that many policies. But it's just, School Board Association said that was a fine way of doing things. And again, if we have questions about them, we can pull them out and discuss them in policy. But, and then with the KaiPod thing, I don't think we're necessarily not going to be working with them. We're just pushing off this discussion right now.
Yeah, we're not looking for it this year, and I can have a sidebar kind of conversation with you. I don't know if it's so much anti-public education, but the timing is not right. So for a year, we're not pursuing it. There's a lot more questions. So, but we might just have to clarify on how it might help solidify some public education. So again, that's a further discussion.
Yeah, I just didn't want us presenting information that, is not 100% correct. We're just putting it on hold right now, and hopefully we can have a better discussion about it.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood your email.
But that's okay. Okay, I have nothing else to add except Happy Teacher Appreciation Week. Ms. Brown?
Let's see. First, I had the opportunity to go to a couple of the Battle of the Bridge games, and they were so exciting on both sides. I always try to sit on the 50-yard line if I can, so I can't show bias, but I usually do. But it was really fun to watch both teams play hard. And regarding actually sort of addressing something that Mr. Hoffman, and then policy as well, since we're not doing committees this month, I also want to be cautious about putting heavy-duty major policy changes on summertime committee meetings as well, when a lot of the teachers may not be available to come to comment. So I just would not like to try to sneak anything through that's like seriously intense. So that would just be my recommendation, though I don't really have the authority to change that. And finally, happy Teacher Appreciation Week. So thank you for all you do. We really appreciate you and glad to have you here in our district. Thank you.
Ms. Oden?
Yes, thank you. I certainly want to recognize all our teachers and say we really appreciate. See, these have been some tough years, and you're going through a tough time now. I know everybody misses the technology that wasn't that long ago when it was new, and it has become something that's really appreciated. I also want to commend Lisa Gingras. There was a nice article in the Telegraph about her reestablishing a Hall of Fame for the athletes, and she put a tremendous amount of work into it. Nashua is very, very sports-oriented, and I think sports provides a lot of good bonding for people, whether it's girls' sports, boys' sports. Back when I was in high school, there was mostly just boys' sports, but it's grown and it's given a lot of our students an opportunity for college scholarships, for, meeting new friends. And I just want to thank Lisa because it was an awful lot of work, and I know from reading the article, a lot of people appreciated her efforts. So I want to recognize Lisa for that. And I want to say I'm very glad to say we're not going to support the Ki-Pods. It was interesting. This was something that basically came to us. We weren't aware it was coming. And it's just fascinating. I think the number for public school students is $3,785 per student is what we get per year for students. They were getting $5,000 per student. I know from reading the Conval paperwork that Commissioner Edelblut said he didn't know how much it cost to educate a child in New Hampshire. I think the number was $19,000 from the article I read. But he certainly must know his background is not in education, it's in finance. He must know that they were going to get more money than public school students, even though they did not provide transportation and they were not going to educate children with special ed that are in the special ed program. So I'm hoping when this comes up again that the board, I won't be on the board, but I hope board members look very carefully at how K-Pods get treated as opposed to public school students. I think fairness is important. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Oden. Ms. Johnson?
Thank you. I'd like to thank Mr. Hoffman for his comments again tonight. I run into him every so often, and we have the greatest conversations. Yeah. In calls, yeah, when I'm working, but it doesn't matter because I meet so many great people there. And we see that we're not far apart and how we think is just how we get there, different directions. And that's fine, because that's how you learn to work and compromise to get what's best for our students here. About the K-Pods, I look at it from a different perspective here. I think there's nothing wrong with a public-private partnership as long as it's done right. We transport our students to Catholic schools. We transport them to charter schools. Charter schools, do we? Yep. So we would transport them there. I think that it's a good way of looking at things. There are some students that just don't do well in the public system. They do better and more in a private system. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think it's anti-public schools, because we've had our religious schools around for centuries, and that's not anti-public schools. I'd like to thank the teachers for everything that they do for us. And I will say, I think 'tis the season of hacking into the school systems. I think it's sad what's going on here. I got mocked because I said when we had paper, we could shred it and we didn't have this problem. Somebody in the community didn't like what I said. I was interviewed by somebody at the Union Leader, and I said the same thing. I mean, this is the chances you take with cyberspace. It's the dark web. Now we know why they call it the dark web, and they're holding not only our school district, other districts, they hold the federal government, they hold the hospitals, they hold our medical information for ransom. And that's important information here for all of us, is because they get our personal information. I've been hacked. I've had to tie myself up with NCIC because they got a hold of all my personal information. They had fun with credit cards, but that was just one person. What do they do to a big group like this? So when I say I grew up in paper and shredding, so what's wrong with that? They couldn't hack it. Went into the shredder, gone. With that said, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Ms. Gilio?
Hi, I have a few things to say. First of all, it's been a long winter for me, and I'm really happy to be back feeling better and participating fully in these meetings. It was a dark, cold winter for me, and I'm really glad to be back. I want to extend the happiness about Teacher Appreciation Week. It was always wonderfully handled when I was an educator, and I'm sure that continues. And I want to thank all our staff, not just the teachers, for all they've done. I would also like to thank the IT department for working through this abysmal problem that we've had. I want to thank the administration for setting up the forums next week on the redistricting. I looked at my calendar and I'll be able to attend 2 of the 3, and I'm looking forward to that. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gilio. Seeing no other comments, we are looking at going into non-public. If I could have a motion to go into non-public.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Thank you, Ms. Gilio. We have to say.
Do you remember which letter it was from last time?
RSA.
Because
It should be on the agenda. Hold on. And
it's not. It's one of the ones that is not on the agenda.
Nope, it doesn't say that. So these are on the RSA.
Oh,
But it might be on the non-public meeting sheet, the second page of it.
no, I'm remembering something else that we have to talk about in non-public.
So then you'll need a motion that lists each one.
Hold on. There's one thing that I'll address when we go into non-public, but it's pretty much legal advice. What is that RSA? When we're reviewing legal advice?
Could be E.
I think it is E, because it's, okay, so looking for a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A3 2E.
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you,
Or
Ms.
it could
Gilio.
be I, if it's emergency preparedness.
Not really.
I think it's
I think it's
I,
fine.
and that's the one we did last time.
So, I know. Okay, so on the motion to go into non-public, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We're now in non-public at 6:47.